monitor our comments here on YouTube Live, and we're about to launch on Facebook Live as well.
And I think everybody is talking about this thinking there's going to be something super interesting out of this hearing, but as far as I'm understanding it, it's more of a formality.
Yep.
If he waives extradition, then, as you said, it's kind of speed up the process. If he didn't and he decided to fight it, that would be a little more suspect and would take a longer amount of time to get the process in order to get him back to Idaho. So I don't think we're going to see much today, and especially, as you said, we're not going to have the cameras in the courtroom, so we're really not going to see much at all. But it is interesting. The police department's going to have that news conference, so I'm anxious to hear from them, because the video today was the first time we saw him.
I have it ready on the touch screen. We can come back to this shot if we need be. This is the video from News Nation earlier on today. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office, their vehicle arriving, and personnel getting out of their vehicle, opening up the door. And I believe the lone prisoner transport was for Brian Kohberger. We'll see him here. And I'm keeping an eye, folks, on the hallway shot. If there is anything out of the hallway shot, we will go to it. Here is Kohberger in the red-orange jumpsuit, being taken into the courthouse.
And there was a lot of officers around there. If you look behind the van, I mean, they had probably 10, 12, 15 officers out there for that kind of that walk.
I honestly wasn't even going to run this because I think it's going to be an absolute complete waste of time. But I felt like I kind of had to. I've come this far. You know, I've covered this case from the beginning, so I kind of have to cover it. But yeah, I knew this was going to be like a waste of time. But they just said the police are doing a press conference afterwards. But yeah. So I don't get it though. Why is everybody streaming it if you can't hear anything? Makes no sense. So while we're here, let me say hi to everyone. What's up? What's up, Fluffer? Fluffer says hi. He's on my lap. I don't know. I've been candle making. Brian is supposed to be in a courtroom. I'm sure a lot of Twitter people are. Hey, Twin Cities. I kind of felt like I had to go live, even though I know it's not going to show much. Hey, Sarah. But I figured you guys are going to be elsewhere, so I might as well go live so you guys are at least here. Don't forget, tomorrow's my birthday. So everyone better be here for my birthday. And my mods and OGs better come on panel. Because it's my birthday. Hey, East Coast. What's the matter, Fluff? Are you scared of the rain? Are you scared of the rain? Alright, let's see what my sexy JB's got to say.
It's so easy to look at someone and want some justice for a case as horrific as this one and want to put a name with a face and say that person did it. But until we have, the charging documents, the affidavit, and obviously the finality to whatever happens in this case. Look, they don't even have a murder weapon yet, correct? Right. I don't think they even have the murder weapon, which is a big piece of this puzzle as well. So I think you hit it on the head that people got to really be careful to say this guy isn't guaranteed to be the guy who did it, but he does have 4 first-degree murder charges on his back, so that doesn't look very good either.
Paying attention to your hashtag HeyJosh, hashtag HeyJB questions and comments, and we'll, as we await for this door opening, we'll go to some of the comments coming in on YouTube Live. If you use a hashtag on your screen, folks, hashtag HeyJB or hashtag.
It's not my birthday yet. It's tomorrow. Kathy, I'm old. Too old to even talk about. Tomorrow, I hit the big 5-2. 5-2. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. But I may be cougar in it. I met a really cute correction officer who's only 43. Does that make me a cougar? Does 9 years make you a cougar? It doesn't make you cougar for 9 years, right? Thanks, Active. That makes me feel good.
In a statement today to NBC, he says they don't believe it to be Brian. They can't believe this. They're obviously shocked. This is certainly completely out of character, the allegations, and really they're just trying to be supportive of their son. So they're
35, Crystal. I am forever 35. 29 sounds good, but you guys are 29. I'm 35. And happy birthday to your daughter, Angela. I wish I was 7 again. The video that said Kaylee allegedly may have had a one-night stand with this monster 2 years ago. He called 20... What? Where'd that come from? I don't believe that, East Coast Beauty. I don't believe that at all. I just don't. I know, right, Honey Badger? People are so stupid. Yeah, no, I don't believe that at all, East Coast. That doesn't even really make sense.
Courtroom, or this is believed to be the holding area.
So,
okay, where he's being held.
Yes, and you can see that we have had several.
Oh, it is almost.
All right, here's the door opening.
There it
and
is.
Here is Brian Koberger. Let's listen in.
By the way, that is definitely not the guy from the field. 150% not him.
I don't think we're live now. Not just one scene. I might be coming in after they film the ball. Cool. News to me. I don't. What are we about? There could be a film here. And who said that?
That was pretty uneventful.
Hey, Daniel.
But we did get to
Didn't
see
say
him.
much.
Didn't say anything. So now, this is the only spot that the media can see.
Hey, Brad.
Right?
Mike, can you go back?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So okay. So let's
I think for
explain.
me, I think I might just keep the long shot.
All right, so let's explain exactly what happens from this point forward now. JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you on the left and right side of your screens, respectively. So here's how this is going to work. What just happened was Brian Koberger was transported from the holding area into the courtroom where now the extradition hearing is going to begin in approximately 5 minutes' time. Of course, he arriving about 5 minutes ahead of the 3:30
Scheduled start time on the docket in Pennsylvania.
Can I just tell you guys, this is why I can never be a real newscaster. I could not speak to an audience like they're idiots. And that's what JB is doing. I can't do that. I just can't. That's why maybe I never made it as a newscaster.
Where he's going to write
and finally, sign, in essence, his waiver to waive extradition, or if that is going to happen in a separate area. But this is where basically the judge is going to confirm that he is waiving his extradition out of the state of Pennsylvania where he was apprehended, and of course, waive his extradition to the state of Idaho. We will follow along now with the reporters that are inside the courtroom itself. I spoke with Pennsylvania court officials on the phone yesterday to get a little bit more as to what this was going to be like, and they said, "Look, it's not the biggest."
Okay, I can tell you what's going to happen. This is going to be a very, very boring, lame couple of minutes. We're not going to know anything. They're going to try to make it sound exciting, but it's not too exciting. They're going to say that they're transferring over him to Idaho, and they're going to let them know when they take him. I don't believe any evidence. Yeah, no evidence is going to be presented. Nothing like that is going to be presented. All they have to prove is that it's him, he's not fighting it, and that's it. And they're going to take him. That's it. Plain and simple. Easy breezy.
Basically, the
Pennsylvania Supreme Court rules in my inbox here, and I don't believe that live tweeting is permitted.
In the courtroom by journalists?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, but the difference is, let's go, I love my JB. JB is my man. She put him down. She made fun of him. I love my JB. And me and JB have a special connection. I made him blush. He wouldn't sue me. Adrian, by the way, I need your address for a candle. But yeah, she got sued, but I don't think it ever went anywhere, actually. Did it even go anywhere? She's still streaming. I miss Paul. Hey, Cotton Candy.
which makes
Journalist job even harder. They got to
Way
wait
harder.
like everybody else.
Yeah, because then you have to come. Who knows? I have been to courtrooms where they'll take your phone. They'll say, "Look,
Oh, sure.
yeah."
They don't
they'll
mess.
say-
The judge doesn't
They don't mess around. No,
it's like this is the rules.
For reference, Iowa takes your phones. You are not allowed to bring a phone into a courtroom in Iowa. At least you weren't when I was in court. So I agree with them. They can take your phone. I do love me some JB. Not JV, JB.
From what should be the start of this. But yeah, no live tweeting. So we're all going to just have to wait.
Yep. And this is a good opportunity for us to talk with our audience.
Yep.
But this camera shot, everybody, this camera shot, I would get rid of this camera shot, but this camera shot is still relevant because when the hearing is over.
In news reporting, this is called wasting time. Or filling time.
Paperwork component for his
Extradition will happen, whether it's in the courtroom itself, in the holding area, or back at the correctional facility. That I'm a little bit fuzzy. I'm a little bit confused about, but there will be a process where he will have to sign to waive his own extradition. And then, of course, the question will be, Josh, it's going to be when exactly will he be extradited?
Yeah.
And what will that process look like? And
that's a big deal because once he arrives in Idaho, then we start to get details in the case.
Yep.
In the form of the affidavit, in the form of just details of how police came to the...
I have a better story. Oh yeah, I have tons of patchouli. I have regular patchouli. I have mixed patchouli. I can make patchouli. I just made a whole bunch of patchouli wax melts for someone. No, I'm saying in Iowa, they do take your phones. They were just talking about taking phones. They do take your phones. No, no way. No, he doesn't. He looks, the walk is totally different. The hairline is totally different. He's definitely not that person. Hey, Charles.
use in conversation.
Some media outlets really
Do it. Just doing a lot of things.
Yeah, at the vigil, definitely not him at all whatsoever.
But also, and
you
you
brought it up, the 4:30 presser today with the police.
yeah.
That could be a lot of information into what happened and how they got him, how he was arrested. I mean, detail. I mean, who knows?
who knows what they're going to talk about in detail.
From what I understand, Felicia, that depends on the money. If the state has money to fly him back, they will fly him. If not, they'll drive him. It all depends on the state. Because I know that in the state of Utah, they drove. I think it all depends on the money. Yeah, but his chest is different. No way. Even with chains on his feet, his chest is different. I do have cedar and amber. I have both. I have to update the website. I have a lot of scents that aren't on the website. But I have to get candle orders done first. Website was tonight. I'm working on the website tonight. Hey, 420 growers. I think that might have been him in that gym photo we were looking at last night. They got figures wearing ankle braces. No, he doesn't look like JB's brother. He's going to board a plane? I don't know. He could drive. Sometimes they drive, but that's a long drive. That's a 37-hour drive. I don't think they would drive. I think it's too far. What makes you think he has an armored vest on? I don't think he has an armored vest on. Nobody's getting in the courthouse with a gun. I know, right, Rosemary? They're firing up kind of... Yeah, I honestly don't know. That's what I'm thinking. That's too far of a drive. I don't think they'll drive because they would have to stop at hotels and stuff. No, they would definitely fly. Why would I protect him? I don't know the guy. I wouldn't protect him. But I do protect innocent until proven guilty. He's not guilty yet. Allegedly, 420. Allegedly. There are so many stories. Because he looks like JB. He does not look like my JB. I guess he kind of does. I guess you're right. I guess he kind of does, really. He could be like a long-lost cousin. Yeah, I agree. They're not going to drive. It's too far. I just realized that a 37... Maybe if it was like a 10-hour or a 15-hour drive, but not a 37-hour drive. Because they would have to stop at a hotel. Where do you guys see that he has a bulletproof vest on? Where did you guys hear he has a bulletproof vest on? I've never heard of a criminal wearing a bulletproof vest. Especially in Pennsylvania. But I could be wrong. I just want to know where you guys heard that. Oh, what's the matter? What's the matter? It's black under his orange. Go back and look. Oh yeah, you might be right. Or it could be a suicide thing. Yeah, but how... Oh, getting out of the van. That's true. Yeah, you got a point there. No, you're right, though. Probably because of getting out of the van. You're right. I didn't think of that. I was thinking nobody's getting in the jail with a... Nobody's getting in the jail with a gun, but you're right. No, it is a vest. You're right. Because I forgot he got it out of the van. I was thinking just from the jail, like nobody's going to be able to have a gun. But yeah, I totally forgot he had to get out of the van. No, you're right. I said I might be wrong. I was wrong.
And it'll be interesting to see if we get an answer on that. But all of this unfolding over the next hour or so, folks. So if you're just joining us, JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Josh Benson, Brian Kohberger, the Idaho murder suspect. He is currently in the courtroom waiving his extradition, signing the paperwork necessary. What will then happen after that is he will be escorted here by court personnel, by members of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, I believe.
Yeah, if you want to see his parents, let's go. Hold on. Let me grab that video. I actually just saw that a few minutes ago. Hold on. Yeah, that's his mom, dad, and it looks like his sister, maybe? If he has a sister? But that's the only video I've seen of his parents. Yeah, that's his family. His dad's very dressed for the occasion. Oh, maybe he does, but only one of them is here, I guess. Because that's definitely his dad and his mom and his sister. Hey, Bad Wolf.
Family is saying they're shocked
to hear these allegations. They say this couldn't be our son. You know, these are things that are now coming out from the family and from Kohberger himself. So it's until he gets back to Idaho and until we see some more evidence of what happened in this scenario to get him to be this #1 suspect. You know, there's going to be a lot of storylines on social media. We just got to be careful about what we report and what we follow as truth.
Yeah, sleuthy goosey. I'm paying attention to some comments here, but we're also trying to also get ready for Kohberger's next appearance in the hallway. says hashtags for both of us. The lawyer, Labar, says he got tickets, but he hadn't seen them, didn't know what they were. Indiana State Police say they have no record of stopping either Koberger. And this is based on reporting by Fox News that on the trip in mid-December, on the trip home, Koberger and his father, according to Labar, the attorney, that they got pulled over twice in Indiana, and Indiana State Police saying that there was no record of them getting pulled over, and that would mean, of course, that there weren't any tickets given.
Right.
But yeah, that was another nugget that came out from Fox News. As all these as interviews are done and questions are asked, this is how we get information between now and the arrest affidavit being released. Right. We've got the audio up on full blast. We also have it full screen for you for, again, Bryan Koberger exiting court.
Bad Wolf, almost every single one of them.
Starting to walk.
Walking.
Here we go.
Do you got bathrooms? They should be clear.
Departing. Departing. Departing.
Yes, Twin Cities. Alright, I don't know what happened to the video, because this is still running.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here is J.D. Buno. Idaho murder suspect
Bryan Koberger appears in Pennsylvania court waiving his extradition, sending him back to the state where he is expected to answer to 4 first-degree murder charges in the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you live on WFLA Now across all platforms. So the extradition process is now in the rearview mirror, according to the court officer there, and we are now awaiting word as to when exactly the extradition is going to happen for the Washington State University student accused of 4 gruesome stabbing deaths at the University of Idaho on inside of a college residence back on November the 13th. Josh, so we have seen Koberger arrive, depart. This was all done within really a 15-minute time period.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of confusion as to what just happened. So let's just go through what this hearing was all about. So extradition is a procedure where one jurisdiction will pretty much acknowledge with another jurisdiction that there's probable cause to bring someone back and arraign them there for prosecution. So that's what we're seeing.
Okay, let me break this down in layman's terms so we don't have to listen to all this. The bottom line is an extradition hearing just means that the other state needs to prove that you are who they think you are, that there's no mistaken identity here. And once they prove that, then they take you. If you say that that's not you, like if my name was Bad Wolf, and Bad Wolf, there were two of us where I live, I would say, no, they got the wrong guy. I would be able, if I can prove that they got the wrong person, that wasn't me, that's when you fight extradition. He didn't fight extradition because there's no other Brian Kopinger or whatever that could possibly be him that covers all the things. That's all. That's in layman's terms of what an extradition hearing is. He chose not to fight it. He's basically stating, this is me. And yes, I want to go there to prove that I didn't do this. That's all. The rest is filler. Yeah, there's no audio or video in court. Do you guys know when the press conference is? What time the press conference is? Well, they only have to prove it if you're fighting it. But yeah, they have to show that this is why they believe you are who they're looking for. It's really pretty simple. Hey, Joy.
I think Pennsylvania, with the press conference, again, if you're just joining us, the Pennsylvania State
Police, they have called a press conference at 4:30, and we're going to have that press conference here on WFLA Now. The exact reason for the press conference, it might just be, and I'm speculating here. I'm admittedly speculating here. It might just be because they have been inundated with so many questions on the Pennsylvania side of things that they want to do a press conference just to answer questions, and then once we have Koberger being transported, it's just them signaling that this is no longer a Pennsylvania case. This is going to be an Idaho case from this point forward. So it might just.
No, I didn't see it, Glory. I did watch Cuomo though. But we have like 40 minutes before this press conference, and they never go on time either. Every time they hold a press conference, it's like 3 hours later. But I'll see if I can find Banfield. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't have 45 minutes worth of content to talk about. I mean, I could go through a bunch of BS, but hang on, let me see if I can find Banfield. Yeah, I don't see anything from yesterday. I don't know, Bad Wolf. It depends. Let's see. There's like a 3-minute clip.
Evidence to be processed, and who knows, it may be more links between Koberger and this murder scene.
And I want to play a soundbite. Nancy, you interviewed one of the classmates earlier about what this person was like, the changes in Brian Kohberger's behavior. Let's take a listen to that.
One of my classmates did observe that he became more animated towards the end of the term. I can support that observation in part myself. I did notice that he became a little chattier. He became a little more animated. Mostly what I noticed, though, is he was always showing up a little late, and he was always showing up with a cup of coffee in hand. He seemed like he was more exhausted going into the tail end of the term.
And Nancy, the authorities in Moscow, they're still asking for information, aren't they? Like, they still want the public to bring in tips about this particular, now that they have the name, they want tips on Brian Kohberger, don't they?
Yeah. They want information like what we just heard. That's Ben Roberts, also in the criminology program at WSU. They want to know, I mean, that change in personality suddenly. He went from, you know, kind of quiet and sullen and to suddenly very chatty and like happy. And so what brought that change? And the change happened around the time of the murders. We've also been hearing from students because Kohberger is a teaching assistant at WSU, and students had earlier complained that he was really harsh with his grades and very critical. And then around the time of the murders, he suddenly just like checked off, you know, all their papers without any comments.
Wow. Nancy Liu reporting live for us in Moscow. Thank you for that. I also want to bring in Lauren Patterson. She's a reporter for Northwest Public Broadcasting and Spokane Public Radio, also a Moscow resident, been following this case since the beginning. That's not the only person who's talking about this former doctoral student. I'm saying former. I mean, he's currently a doctoral student. I don't think that's going to last long. What else are you hearing, Lauren?
Well, the speculation's going, the rumor mill is fully churning. I'm hearing a lot of the same things that have been discussed here: loner, nerdy, awkward. I guess the problem is that could describe just about everybody in academia or graduate school. But when I was at that press conference, I mean, Moscow PD, they were smiling. They feel confident, it seems. But now comes this next chapter, and this has all been on the offense. I mean, this investigation.
But what about the former classmates? They're sort of coming out of the woodwork. At first, they were very reticent, but now there's more people. I think there's somebody who said he was odd from the beginning, and there's a brewery owner, I think, who said that he had a behavior to the wait staff. I think that were other classmates of him saying that he was derogatory about fellow students and LGBTQ. How many of these fellow students are now coming forward and giving us a real picture of who this man is?
I haven't been able to touch base with any WazU students, WSU, I guess we call it WazU out here, but any WSU students specifically. I could go down to the corner club, maybe ask around, see if anybody saw him acting out there. I did get one secondhand rumor that as a TA and in some of his criminology classes, he would like to ask about the grisly details, but that's coming from a couple of different sources, several sources removed. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds, especially because some of these people are going to be asked not to speak to the media anymore, as they may be called to court as character witnesses.
Makes perfect sense. Lauren Patterson, thank you again for joining us as always. We appreciate it. We're going to continue to follow this story. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
All right. Chronic, what are you talking about? Yeah, but Glory, the thing is, we don't know if that's 100% true or not. You know what I mean? We just don't know. We gotta be careful with stories, because you just never know.
If you want to be healthy, that's not going to help your cause. If you're fighting extradition, that says
that sends the wrong optics.
It does. Agreeing to extradition and saying you're looking forward to being exonerated, that sends a very clear message that you're looking forward to clearing your name.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a benefit to fight it unless you're trying to build a case from where you are, but you can't really build a case unless you know really what you're up against. So it's kind of a moot point.
We'll continue to take your questions and your comments. I want to get this out there though as well, and we'll put away Sarah's comment here for just a moment. Fox News reported this afternoon that Brian Kohberger's defense team, not his attorney, his defense team, hired investigators, and that those investigators arrived at the home where he is accused of fatally stabbing the University of Idaho students in Moscow. 3 men, I'll read this, 3 men, 2 women, this is according to Fox News, arrived at the King Road house at about noon Eastern time, spent 45 minutes taking video inside and outside of the property. 4 of the investigators left after touring the home, while a crime scene reconstruction analyst remained. Very, very interesting report from Fox News. So this is we're starting to get the inklings of a considerable.
Hold up. So what they're saying that Brian already has a team of attorneys in Idaho that were at the house? Well, that's interesting. Hold on. Yep, here it is. So Brian's lawyer sends defense investigators to crime scene.
The suspect accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in November is due in court in Pennsylvania just a couple of hours from now. His public defender says he plans to waive extradition. So still no murder weapon or motive, but we do know the suspect was a grad student in criminology at Washington State. That's just 10 miles from the murder scene.
What caused him to pick these people out? He had this bizarre research report from the college in Pennsylvania that he was doing, why interviewing criminals as to why they kill people and how they feel. So there are a lot of potential red flags for motive and for whether or not it could have been prevented.
Let's bring in former D.C. homicide detective Ted Williams, also an attorney for Fox News. Fox News contributor, excuse me. And Chris Swecker, former FBI assistant director. It's great to have you both. Ted, you are there back in Moscow, Idaho. Do you get a sense that there is some relief in the community that there is at least a suspect who has been arrested?
Dana, I was out about the community here in Moscow, Idaho last night, and I can tell you to the person, there's jubilation that someone is caught. It's kind of like a bittersweet moment for people out here because, quite naturally, and the families, by the way, because they would love their loved ones to be around. But the fact that their loved ones are no longer here, they are very elated that someone is being brought to justice out here.
Indeed. Let me show everybody at home the charges against Kohberger include 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary. We will get the full complaint a little bit later today. And Chris, when you look at this, I assume there could be more charges that are added, I assume, later. This is what they felt that they had at this point for probable cause. What struck out to you, to the extent that we know, in the investigation leading up to his arrest, that was a key part of the investigation? What were the tools that you think brought him to this moment?
Well, I think the linchpin tool was the use of forensic genealogy, which is really a fairly new area. It's basically the use of private DNA databases from these products that you buy, where you can trace your own genealogy. Well, in the private sector, they have built up a significant body or bank of DNA and all of the sort of the hierarchical, the ancestral relatives of this particular person. So in this case, they used the private sector to identify at least someone within his family tree. So that is a pioneering area. I think that's the bailiwick of the FBI. I think they brought something very significant to the scene here. Not taking anything away from the investigators and the state police, but I think this was the linchpin. This is what broke the case.
Anything to add on that point, or any other investigative tool that you think was key, Ted?
Yeah, also the fact that they had some video of that white car.
All right, call me crazy, but if something is that new, why don't they think a good attorney can poke holes in it like Swiss cheese? I don't get it. That's what they're banking on? Something new technology? I don't know about that.
Car. That also was very significant. And to follow up on what Chris has said here, this is a new, innovative kind of DNA procedure. And so it's kind of weak at this time, and it's certainly going to give defense attorneys something to challenge in this case. But I think that what we've seen here is some extraordinarily good police work. The scales of justice sometimes move slowly, but I think they've moved they're moving in a very successful manner to bring some closure for the families in this case.
His attorney says that Kohberger will be exonerated once he gets to Idaho. Doubt that, obviously he's innocent until proven guilty. That is not going to happen today. Chris, can you explain what happens to a suspect like this, someone who has been arrested, when they go to the extradition hearing in a couple of hours in Pennsylvania? He's gonna say, fine, I'll go back to Idaho. How does he get to Idaho? Who takes him? What's the process?
Yeah, extradition is something that's in the Constitution of the United States. It's basically a formal request from one governor to another to bring a suspect back to face justice where the charges are filed. In this case, he's going to waive it, which is the smart thing to do, because there's nothing to be gained by fighting it. The only issue is whether he is the person charged in the warrant. He will be transported by land or air by detectives from Idaho, possibly from Pennsylvania as well, but it'll be in a very secure way. It'll either by private air or by, and then that's what I suspect will happen. I doubt they'll take him by car.
Yeah, okay. I know that they'll want to get him there rapidly. Ted, thank you for being there, and we appreciate that. And Chris Swecker, always appreciate your expertise as well, in addition to Ted's. Thank you so much. We'll stay on top of the story for everyone today.
Okay, I feel like I just got scammed. Alright. Hired by Brian Kohberger's defense team arrived Tuesday at the home where he's accused of fatally stabbing 4 students. 3 men and 2 women arrived at the King Road house at around noon. Kaylee Ethan knifed to death in the morning of November 13th. Okay, the fact that Brian Kohberger's attorney has brought in private investigators to go throughout this crime scene leads me to believe he's definitely going to mount a strong defense. I 100% agree with that. Public defender is representing Kohberger only in the extradition. Says client plans to voluntarily return to Idaho where he's charged with 4 counts of murder. Kohberger believes he'll be exonerated. His parents believe their son isn't behind the horrific slayings. Officials have not publicly disclosed a motive. All right. I don't know. I just think new technology can poke holes in it very easily. Oh.
Hey, Fox News alert. We are waiting to hear from the Moscow, Idaho police later this afternoon. A law enforcement source confirming to Fox News that police have taken a suspect into custody in connection with the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Now, we don't know.
Wait, is the press conference now or they changed it? Because this is saying 4, which would be now.
Know why that person is in custody at this time. William Lajeunesse is following this for us. He is live with the details. William.
Good morning, Molly. The arrest was about 2,500 miles away from the murder scene in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Law enforcement sources saying the man is in his mid-20s, taken into custody last night around 3 a.m., well, this morning, by local police and the FBI. He is a college student, but does not attend the University of Idaho. We do not know if he is the sole suspect, as police have left open the possibility there could have been more than one killer. Now, we know the backstory. 4 University of Idaho students stabbed to death in their home November 13th. Police had made no arrest or identified any suspects until now. The only lead we received was that they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra. The owner, the driver, was not a suspect per se, they said, but may have had some information of use. Now, so far, police received 5,000 tips, collected 113 pieces of evidence, and taken about 4,000 photographs, did 150 interviews. 3 of the victims, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonclaves, and Zanya Kernoodle, lived at the house. The 4th, Ethan Chapin, was visiting. Now, before the killings, the kids were out partying. Both Mogan and Conclaves were last seen around 2 in the morning, and they made some phone calls until 3 a.m. The coroner said all 4 appeared to have been stabbed multiple times with a large knife, and that some of the victims probably tried to fight back, and there were no signs of sexual assault. 2 other females were in the house at the time. However, they were not attacked. The bottom line is, Molly, this is a
Yeah, I was just kind of wasting time.
Legal showdown here between the prosecutors in Idaho and between Brian Kohberger, who...
Oh, why can't we come up?
And that, I really hope that people, once the arrest
affidavit drops, we'll likely launch a live stream here, and we'll comb through it. We'll go through it, a lot of it live. And hopefully, look, arrest affidavits, I've gone through, I can't, countless arrest affidavits. I'm just hoping that the redactions are minimal, because they're...
Like, come on, look at this question. Do you think Kohberger is guilty based on body language and overall attitude? People really think like that? That is why 20,000 people, or innocent people, are sitting in prison. Because of people like Katie. Katie, you can't base somebody's guilt based on body language and attitude. That's ridiculous. And just know that, welcome to your jury pool. People like Katie up there.
There were actions so many times.
There's so much hype surrounding an arrest affidavit as investigators detail, you know, what evidence they have, but there is... Okay, so that's, I'm just shooting a note out to our teams to make sure that we have that.
I may have to jump and get onto the newscast, but how long do you think?
Well, we got the presser coming up in 20 minutes. Up to you. You're my streaming partner in crime.
I could come back.
Okay. It depends, of course, on...
You don't like to leave a man hanging, though.
No.
On an island.
Josh, you
This
complete.
is
you
a tough
complete
job
me,
to do by
Josh.
yourself, right?
Yeah, you complete me, Josh.
How many times have you done this by yourself?
A lot, and it's a lot easier when
To
I
tread
have
water and just keep it going.
Teamwork makes the stream work.
But yeah, but it's nice to have people commenting. This real-time commenting is awesome.
Here's what we're gonna do, folks. We are gonna momentarily take a 3-minute.
See, even JB doesn't know what to talk about for the next 20 minutes because there's just nothing new. I mean, you can talk about bullshit, you can talk about, bullshit theories, but at the end of the day, there's nothing new to talk about. And that's basically what I was saying before. There's just nothing new to talk about. There's only so many times you can talk about the same crap. Hey, Patty! What's up, girl? I'm sorry for my random life. Oh, it's okay, D-Life. Think about poor individuals like those who knew the victims that have been dragged through the mud because non-experts think they can read it. Oh, I totally agree, Amber. It's crazy to me. But that's what people want. I mean, shit. I run a trial. I can't even break 100 people. It makes no sense at all. People want to hear, I don't know if they want to hear themselves talk or what. Normally know the probable cause. Hopefully today. Hopefully. But nobody knows, what the cops are going to release today. They don't know if they're going to release the warrant, if they're going to release anything. Motive, what they have. Now that he's being extradited, is it just going to be... I don't think it's like anyone's guess. Let me see if Enton posted anything. Hold on. All right. Brian hasn't posted anything. That we saw already. Going inside courtroom. Cameras and live tweeting not allowed, but we'll update here and on News Nation when it ends. Hearing set start at 3:30 Eastern. Kobinger came into court, made eye contact with his family sitting in the front row. He nodded at them. His mom cried, and his sister comforted the mom. A deputy brought her tissues. Kohlberger told the judge he is not on any medication and would impact him making the decision. The judge said he has to be sent to Idaho within 10 days. Brian Kohlberger waived his extradition hearing. He had to sign a waiver in court. The judge explained to Kohlberger the charges against him in Idaho and that he was voluntarily allowed authorities to transfer him to Idaho. So that's it. That's what he said. So he's not on any medication that would impact him making the decision. So he's not going to go there today. He's got to go within 10 days. I'm thinking the same thing, Bad Wolf. So that's it. That's the updates.
the way the system works?
I feel like he definitely was into this type of thing. He had made a lifetime commitment to, you know, wrapping himself into crime and solving crime and figuring out how people got caught, interviewing people, doing different things that a normal student wouldn't be so interested in. So I think he maybe got a little overconfident and didn't realize that there really is no perfect way to commit a crime.
What do you make, Steve, of the fact that, you know, he was getting his PhD in criminal justice and had his master's in criminology, and sort of had this knowledge of the way the system works?
I feel like he definitely was into this type of thing. He had made a lifetime commitment to, you know, wrapping himself into crime and solving crime and figuring out how people got caught, interviewing people, doing different things that a normal student wouldn't be so interested in.
See, honestly, I completely disagree with that. Because anybody that, like, look at these professors that study criminology, and those study that, you know, study serial killers, they're not going to murder. A lot of people are that into it that don't kill anyone. So I totally disagree with the dad. Dexter is a show on HBO.
So I think he maybe got a little overconfident and didn't realize that there really is no perfect way to commit a crime.
What do you make, Steve, of the fact that, you know, he was getting his PhD in criminal justice and had his master's in criminology, and sort of had this knowledge of the way the system works?
It repeated itself. Yeah, I never heard the sister was in a horror movie or anything. I don't know where you got that from. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I never heard that. But there are just so many rumors that go flying. Okay, tonight on Banfield, Mike King is on. Yay. Really not much desire to watch him. Can I ask you guys a question, in all honesty? Why would you put your TikTok subscribers on Twitter? Like, who cares? Who cares if you have 1.6+ million on TikTok? Who gives a shit? Does that make you more relevant? People are fucking weird. ...2004 Napa murders? He's a little young for Napa murders. Hey, Kay. Alright, so Banfield tonight has Mike King on. She has a retired U.S. Marshal. I guess about going back. She needs to get me on. I'd be more calm too, though. Banfield only has 17,000 followers? Really? That's odd. Oh, she has 98,000 here. Yeah, it's gonna have on Mike King, forensic analysis and analyst. Okay, I don't know who DeMar Hamlin is or what happened, but tell me why a pro NFL player needs donations. He makes millions of dollars a year. I don't get it. I don't get why he would need a fundraiser. Just curious. Oh, it's for a toy drive? Yeah, but he could afford all of that. He got hurt in game yesterday. That's why he gets paid millions of dollars. I don't know. He had a heart attack on the field.
You talk about DeMar?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't really a heart attack. He got hit, and then he stood up, had 3 steps, and then his heart stopped.
How much does he make a year?
DeMar?
Oh.
Shit. It's in the millions, I assume.
Exactly.
Probably in the millions. He raised $3 million in a day. He made all the Bills fans made a GoFundMe, and it raised about $3 million.
I thought it was 900,000.
No, it's $3 million.
All right. I just think it's stupid. He makes plenty of money. I don't know. I can't say I hate football. Dane gets mad at me. Alright, so allegedly we have like 5 minutes. I hate football. It's for a toy drive. Yeah, but he could donate $1 million to a toy drive. No problem. What?
Yeah, a lot of these questions
are going to become more clear over time, and really, we might get some answers in this press conference. Which, again, I'll admit, I'm a little, I'm curious as to really what the exact subject matter is going to be for this press conference. But I guess, look, we're going to find out here momentarily. Police have something to say, and of course, we're going to
be listening with.
Of course, you're not blocked.
This is
now leaving the Pennsylvania arena and going into the legal arena in Idaho, and that's where this story will continue from this point forward. So, also too, have we heard any details on when the extradition is actually going to begin? I believe the way that it works, and I'm not speaking here with a high degree of confidence, but a relatively moderate degree of confidence in that Idaho arranges for, of course, the extradition to the actual transport from one state to the other. It's something that really Idaho is responsible for. So what, look, we might find that out by the end of today as to.
Lindy, she is beyond fucking crazy. Beyond crazy. She goes to levels that are not normal. But so do others. I heard there were like a 47-year-old woman today going through my bathroom pictures. Yo, that's fucking freaky. Freaky. You don't like my bathroom? Cool, don't like my bathroom. But for you to go live about my bathroom? Wow. That is not normal. Like, these people are just not normal. There is something mentally wrong with them. Both of them, for real.
They could cost in the hundreds of thousands of dollars on a retainer, depending on how big of an attorney you get. So, yeah, maybe that's the case, or maybe a higher profile attorney will come in to offer to do it and to be on his defense team. We've seen that in the past. So, I mean, just the fact that we have a name now as a public defender, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that's who it's going to be through the proceedings.
Yeah, will there be, an attorney taking this pro bono? I mean, my goodness, I guess, look, a lot of that is going to be.
Yeah, a certain creator went live this morning. Now, I didn't watch it, so I don't know the whole story. But, Red, you don't know? Look in Discord. But a certain creator went live showing pictures of my bathroom that me and Sage share. Why would you care what my bathroom looks like? Why is this your content? Like, this shit is fucking weird. It's creepy. Like, why would you even care? Why is it content? You don't like the colors? Great. Don't use them. But to go live about it and to do a whole live, that's fucking weird. Weird. That's just creepy. After live, I'm going to do a video about a case you may be interested in doing. It's a few years old. 3 people in jail with DNA they have match a fourth suspect. Who's the case? It is extremely weird. She's 47 years old. Or 48. She's worried about my bathroom.
And here are
they're starting.
Pennsylvania State
right
Police.
on time. I love it.
And let's listen in.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Adam Reed. I'm the Director of the Communications Office with the Pennsylvania State Police. Thank you for joining us here. The order of speakers is going to be our Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Major Christopher Paris, he's our Area 3 Commander, and First Assistant District Attorney, Monroe County, Mike Mancuso. After the speakers have finished, we will then take a handful of questions. Colonel Ivanchik.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Robert Ivanchik, Commissioner of the Pennsylvania State Police. While I monitored the investigation into the horrific murders of the University of Idaho students, I did not imagine the investigation would lead to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My heart goes out to the families of the victims, their friends, the community of Moscow, and the University of Idaho. No words can heal the pain associated with the loss of a child. Their young lives were ended far too soon. In law enforcement, we understand the best thing we can do for victims and their families is to follow every lead, collect every piece of evidence, and bring those responsible to justice. I am proud of the members of the Pennsylvania State Police who were able to help in this investigation. The cooperative relationship between our local, state, and federal partners stands the test of time. The officers, troopers, and federal agents work together tirelessly, putting in long, difficult hours. Communication and cooperation are imperative to success and to ensure the integrity of the case remains maintained. The culmination of that cooperation ultimately led to take the suspect into custody and afforded the families some sense of peace they deserve. I want to thank the Moscow Police Department, the Idaho State Police, and our partners in the Federal Bureau of Investigation for their support, assistance, and coordination. I also want to recognize the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. And finally, I need to acknowledge the members of the Pennsylvania State Police, specifically members of Troop N, our Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and our Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, who assisted in safely taking the suspect into custody in the early morning hours of December 30th. As previously indicated by Chief James Fry of the Moscow Police Department, specific details regarding this investigation cannot be released until the suspect is extradited to Idaho and presented with the probable cause affidavit. At this time, I will turn the microphone over to Major Christopher Paris, commander of Area 3, who was involved in the coordinated efforts to take the suspect into custody.
Thank you, Colonel. Area 3 comprises Troops F, P, N, and R, and is made up of 1,000 approximately of the women and men, civilian and enlisted, in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania. I'd like to introduce to my left Captain Norm Kramer, who's the commander of Troop N Hazleton, which is comprised of Carbon, Monroe, Columbia, and parts of Luzerne counties. I would like to reiterate, as the Colonel said, that Idaho law prohibits any release of information contained within the affidavits. So we're going to do our best today to talk about what phase we are currently in the investigation, and it has entered a new phase with the waiver for extradition. And the continuing primary goal is the seeking of justice through successful prosecution and conviction, bearing the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So with that in mind, we're trying to balance essentially two things: the public's desire for information against the need to maintain the integrity of the investigation and protect the suspects, accused at this point's due process. So I'll now attempt to give you an operational picture with the best information I can release at the time. So this begins when the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation troopers were contacted by the FBI about assisting with surveillance of the accused in this case. I'd like to take the opportunity to specifically thank several individuals. Special Agent in Charge Jackie McGuire and Assistant Special Agent in Charge Dave Carter from the Philadelphia Field Division, as well as Supervisory Special Agent Bill Vigorito of the Scranton RA. We're very lucky in PSP to have a collaborative relationship with the Bureau, both in Pennsylvania and beyond, and their people are absolutely excellent. So as the investigation progressed, Troop N Criminal Investigation Section, commanded by Captain Kramer over my left shoulder here, began to collaborate with authorities in Idaho. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge Lieutenant James Curto, who is here today, Sergeant Anthony Ferdinand, Corporal John Chulak, who is not present with us, and Troopers Leary and Knoll, who are here with us today. It was through this collaboration and the charges pending in Idaho that those troopers were able to obtain search warrants and a fugitive justice warrant that was prepared here in Monroe County for the location in Chestnut Hill Township and the fugitive from justice warrant for Mr. Koberger, respectively. I'd like to acknowledge the Monroe County District Attorney, David Christine, as well as First Assistant Mike Mancuso and their entire office. The support that we received was absolutely excellent. Once those warrants were obtained, the Bureau of Emergency and Special Operations, BESO, coordinates our Special Emergency Response Team, CERT. They were selected to serve those warrants, the 3 search warrants and the fugitive from justice warrant. To define what CERT is, it's a full-time tactical team maintained by PSP to deal with high-risk warrant situations, barricades, and other incidents requiring specialized tactical training or other capabilities. From their perspective, we essentially task them to go out and serve a arrest warrant for someone accused of a quadruple murder. They're activated several hundred times a year throughout the Commonwealth. We don't typically hear of their work in a forum like this because they serve the warrant, the person's taken into custody, and they go about their assignment. They are the ultimate professionals. It's a volunteer team. They're highly trained and highly motivated. Captain Norm Kramer, over my left shoulder, was assigned as the top comm for the CERT activation, which means he was responsible for coordinating our tactical preparations. So, tactical assets were then staged in the county, in Monroe County, into the evening of Thursday, December 29th, last Thursday. And in the early hours of Friday, December 30th, those warrants were executed at the location. Mr. Kohberger was taken into custody without incident. The scene was turned over to the FBI Evidence Response Team for processing. Mr. Kohberger was then turned over to the Monroe County Prison, where he has remained in their custody since. I'd like to thank the Monroe County Sheriff and the Stroud Regional Police Department for their support as well during the extradition process. Arrangements currently are being made to deliver Kohberger back to Idaho, where he can have continued due process and face these charges. So it's with that I will turn it over to First Assistant Mike Mancuso.
Thank you, Major. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Mancuso with the DA's office, the First Assistant District Attorney. I want to give my condolences to the families of the victims out in Idaho for their loss. It's my sincere hope that this marks a clear step in the right direction of effectuating justice for those folks. My office's role was relatively recent. We weren't advised of the presence of the defendant in our county until only a couple days before the apprehension of the defendant. But when we were told, we came together and worked very closely with Captain Kramer, who did an excellent job in almost like a clockwork operation. Part of my duties were to ensure that 3 separate search warrants were issued. Those affidavits attached to those search warrants are still under seal, so I can't discuss their contents with you. But one was for the person of Mr. Kohberger, collecting DNA and photographs, that sort of thing. One was for the white Elantra vehicle, which I understand has been seized and is being processed. And one was for the address, the residence itself that he was living in with his family. I was at the scene, and I have to say that Major Paris and Captain Norm Kramer did an outstanding job in coordinating the efforts, not only of the numerous Pennsylvania State police troopers there, but officers from other jurisdictions and disciplines within those jurisdictions to make this a very smooth, highly competent professional operation. It is a quirk, apparently. It's not in the norm of the states I'm familiar with that Idaho does not release their probable cause affidavit in support of their arrest warrant until after their defendant is returned to that state. But having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents. So that's a significant development. Beyond that, looking at the scope of the situation and the ties this defendant has to my county, I would hold our office at the disposal of the Idaho authorities to help facilitate a complete background investigation into the defendant, both activities prior to the murders occurring within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and his activities after the murders in Pennsylvania. So we stand ready to assist with that effort on an ongoing basis. Thank you.
We can now open it up for questions.
Can you tell us what state police specifically did, or can you give us any indication as to the operations of state police, when you were notified? And you talk about putting tactical in the area. How long were they there? And what's the...
We're not in a position to give you an exact time. It was at some point prior to when the surveillance was taken as the investigation progressed to a point where search warrants could be obtained and the probable cause for those search warrants and an arrest warrant, a fugitive from justice warrant based on the arrest warrant out in Idaho were obtained. We began to take the tactical steps to plan to serve them.
Were you collecting evidence prior to his arrest?
At this point, like we said, it's very much pertinent to what's in the affidavits, which we cannot speak about.
What's it about his demeanor when the arrest actually happened?
Present sense impression, as likewise ongoing investigation, can't discuss.
Rob Mann, 69 News. How is Koberger being transported back to Idaho?
Those arrangements are being discussed right now, as well as the logistics. The court order says, those of you who heard it today, it's within the next 10 days, so we're currently working on that in coordination with authorities out in Idaho. Sir?
The defendant's mother in Koberger.
I can't comment. I don't know.
Is he being held in the Monroe County Jail until he's extradited, or is he removed to another?
No, he is lodged in the. Since he was dropped off there Friday morning, he's resided in Monroe County Prison.
Still, and until he's
Correct,
extradited,
yes.
he'll be there.
Are the marshals moving him, or which group? Is
At this
moving
point,
him?
that's still being coordinated between the state police and the authorities out there. We don't know.
Will the affidavit be unsealed when he arrives in Idaho?
I don't want to speak out of my lane. When I watched the press conference on Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I was alerted to the fact that, according to Idaho state law, that the affidavits have to be served to him once he's extradited back before they could be unsealed.
Did he say has anyone else been arrested?
Ongoing investigation, ma'am.
Has a motive been determined?
I can't comment on that either. I apologize.
Who transports him, sir? Does Pennsylvania State Police, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department?
He's presently back. He was transported from the courthouse by Monroe County Sheriff, and the logistics of who's going to transport him out to Idaho are still being discussed. We don't know yet.
Can you confirm the time of his arrest and how much law enforcement presence there actually was?
I would say it was in the early morning hours of Friday, December 30th. Tactical assets on scene were probably in the neighborhood of 50.
Were you afraid he was going to get tipped off before you got him?
I would say overall about this entire operation, and the credit goes, this is a part that the state police played humbly. You look at Moscow Police Department, 38 sworn, 19,000 leads. The video evidence that they had to develop in order to put that out, all public source information. But when you talk about the service of a high-risk warrant for someone who's committed or alleged to have committed 4 homicides, there's nothing routine about that. And all of those tactical steps that were taken were in conjunction with the best efforts of the authorities, local, state, and federal, both in Idaho and here, to ensure that we could do it safely and to ensure that we could get him into custody and that those service or the search warrants could occur.
Sir, can we ask a question of the first assistant district attorney? Mr. Mancuso, you described having read to a degree the contents of that affidavit of probable cause, and that you possibly speculated or theorized that he wanted to get back to read that as well, since he can't read that. Can you give us an indication, though, of the seriousness of what you did read? I know you can't talk about it, but can you share with us something?
Yeah, I can't get into the details, sir, but I can say it involved the defendant's connection to a scene of a crime consisting of 4 murdered people. So that's the significance of it.
Can you confirm that there is a connection between Brian Koberger and any of the victims?
I can't discuss that, ma'am.
How confident are you that he is guilty of these crimes?
That wouldn't be my place to say. Certainly confident enough that there was ample probable cause for the issuance of the various warrants in the case.
What was your reaction when you heard this? You've all talked about, you followed this. This happened states away. When you get that call, or you all get the call, that this person could be right here in your home area, what's your reaction?
Well, I was surprised. Really, Monroe County, of all places, it hits close to home. It's a normal human reaction, I would think, under the circumstances.
Do you know when he and his father left Idaho or Washington and drove to Pennsylvania, what that date was?
No, I don't know the exact date, ma'am.
Approximately, we understand the middle of December, is that correct?
I think that's approximate.
And what about, we heard reports that they were stopped not once but twice on the highway. Can you elaborate?
I'll defer to his Pennsylvania public defender on that.
Do you have reason to believe that Koberger is connected to other crimes and unsolved mysteries in the area?
I wouldn't answer that question at this time.
We start looking at some that may be unsolved where he was around.
That would be a normal thing to do.
Question for the PSP here. Said he was taken without incident. Was it safe to say that, I shouldn't say it's safe to say, but did it seem like he was expecting
I wouldn't comment on what his present sense was. I would just comment that the professionalism of the CERT team and their tactical training definitely proved in a situation like this to do it in the most tactically sound and fastest way possible.
Was there anybody else in the house at the time?
Yes, parents were in the house at the time.
Did they say anything to you?
Again, present sense impression. I can't comment on that in ongoing investigation.
Even it was down the door.
Force was used. The warrants were issued for evening search warrants, which in Pennsylvania requires additional probable cause in order to serve.
All right, I got a quick question. What is the relevance that his sister was in a horror movie 11 years ago? If someone could, or she played an extra or something in a horror movie. If someone can show me the correlation of why that matters, I'm all ears. But I don't really understand why that is even relevant. It's not like he played if you told me that he played a slasher in a horror movie, that may have some relevance. But his sister being in a horror movie 11 years ago, I don't get why anyone cares.
For them at the hours of darkness, I would defer to the first assistant to talk about the legal burden that you bear in order to obtain those. But from a tactical standpoint, based upon all of the briefings that we had developed and all of the intelligence we had developed, we thought that was the best time to serve it.
And what tipped off that Pennsylvania was involved with this?
We were alerted by the FBI. Troopers in the Bureau of Criminal Investigation were alerted.
Anything on like his social media pages that tipped anything?
I can't comment. I don't know.
So have his parents been cooperative in this whole process?
Can't comment. Ongoing, like I said. The state police's role here was to serve the warrants and assist with the surveillance, which we've done. We've been part of major investigations. You know, these are men and women who take an oath to protect their communities and the Commonwealth here. We're very humbled with the opportunity that we had, given a case that has really gained international attention, to play a small part in it. And our hat is off to Moscow PD, again, with the size and the complexity of this investigation and the work that they've done to get us here today. And this is only the beginning of the next step.
If it's determined that anyone here in Pennsylvania either helped to conceal or dispose of any evidence, then you would be a part of this case, or would it go to...
I would say that we would pledge whatever support we can for ongoing investigations with the Idaho authorities here in Pennsylvania. Absolutely. We would help them in any way we could.
Were there any weapons found in the home?
I don't want to get into what was actually seized in the house pursuant to the evidentiary nature of it.
Can you give any insight into why you all decided to go in overnight to make the arrest?
Those are tactical decisions in terms of base surveillance. I don't want to give out too many tactical factors that go into that situation, but obviously surveillance was conducted, and we wanted to go in at a time when we thought it would be the safest for everybody, safest for anybody else in the house, safest for Mr. Koberger, and safest for our people.
There was an interesting question asked earlier about the care that needed to be taken to not tip the suspect off. Could you describe how long that lid had to be on things and how many people were involved in it? Like how many people knew and for how long?
So I would say, I would answer the question this way. I don't want to get into a timeline in terms of when we were notified by the FBI and when the surveillance began. Obviously, we know on Thursday night into Friday morning is when the warrants were served. I would say, as a credit to the professionals both standing behind me and others not here, many others not here, the information was held very close. And we did not want to have any situation where Mr. Koberger potentially would be tipped off. So as a result of that, I would say a close number of approximately 7 to 8 individuals, maybe 10 on the most within the PSP side of this operation knew about it.
And for days, can we say? Or?
I would say for a period of time. I would not feel comfortable commenting any more than that, for a period of time. And then as the tactical assets were brought in, people were briefed.
When the movement plan is finally decided, will there be an announcement? Will
not from the state police, so we would defer to Moscow and the authorities in Idaho.
When he starts leaving Pennsylvania?
Well, we have security concerns now, obviously, to move any prisoner. Anytime you move somebody from a secure prison to another place, we don't want to. There won't be an announcement from the state police in terms of those logistics, but they're being worked on right now.
Can you
Give us your
confirm?
best guess when you think he might be moved, roughly? Tomorrow?
We would like to do it as soon as possible, but the court order says 10 days. We have 10 days to coordinate it.
Can you potentially be on a plane tonight? Is it possible he could be on a plane tonight? That's a possibility, right?
I can't, I would think that's probably not likely.
A private plane, or would you fly commercial?
We're looking into that right now.
Can you confirm or deny that a window was broken in order to gain access into the home?
There were multiple windows that were broken, I believe, to gain access, as well as multiple doors. I think the video of the house after the fact confirms that. And that would all be part of the tactical plan based on the floor plan of the house, et cetera, and what the CERT operators would do to serve those warrants.
Was this suspect on your radar before, and are you looking at any connections?
I wouldn't comment on that based on the ongoing nature.
But how about it? Did he have a criminal past? According to the UJS, I didn't see anything.
I can't comment on a person's criminal history during an ongoing investigation.
Sorry, Mr. Mancuso said that you stand ready to assist in giving a complete background of the defendant. What specifically is law enforcement interested in?
That'll be the last question after Mr. Mancuso answers.
In any case of this nature, and I prosecuted a fair share of homicides, double homicides, that sort of thing, you want to look at any evidence of possible motive. You want to look at any evidence of a pattern, of modus operandi or method. You want to get into the subject's character, mental state to the best you can, that sort of thing. So it'll be an all-encompassing effort, which we stand ready for. Okay.
How will you do it?
We have our ways. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Just for a quick spelling, I'll give everyone the spelling of everyone's name. It was included in the media advisory, but just so we have it. So, Colonel's last name is Ivanchik, Evanchik. First name is Robert. Major Paris, his last name is spelled just like the city, Paris. First name Chris.
Why does that dude got his hand on the fucking trigger? Does he think the media is gonna blow him away or something? I mean, just stand there with your hand on the trigger is kind of weird.
Pennsylvania police discuss the arrest and the apprehension of Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger, who has waived his right, or waived for extradition. He will be transported to Idaho to answer to the first-degree murder charges within the next 10 days. Pennsylvania police saying there at the very end of the press conference that is unlikely to happen tonight. Hello there to you folks. JB here with you live on Double.
No, I get it, but he's standing in a room with a bunch of media and police. Does he think the media is going to shoot the police? All the media in there is like they check the media. It's not like Betty's getting in there or anything. I don't know, just to stand there in a room full of cops with your hand on a trigger of an AK-47 or something, that's fucking crazy to me. Go. So, okay. I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and then I'm going back to candles. Because if I don't get these orders out by tomorrow, I'm in trouble. It is over the top. That was my point. So, Shop Girl, you live there, right? Like, you live in that town, if I remember you said? But Swindigger, my question is, if someone told me that Brian played a killer in Scream, that would have relevance to me. That would be like, whoa. But the fact that his sister did it 10 years ago, I don't see why that even matters. It has nothing to do with him. Like, my grandfather was an extra in, what was that movie? It was a Richard Pryor movie. Trains and Automobiles or something? What does that have to do with the rest of us? Nothing. So is there any kind of vibe going on there or anything? Like, what's the vibe? They're showing strength and power in a way you don't recognize. It happens all the time. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. It's like you don't need to hold your thing on a trigger. Willow, you mean close-ups? I don't think there are any. I think they only broke the front window, though. Amber, you better be here tomorrow for my birthday. Just adds to. See, I don't think so, though. I don't see where the sister being an actress has anything to do with anything. Only in Monroe County, otherwise quiet. I would love for you to come up later, Shop Gal. My birthday is tomorrow. My birthday. And I'm trying to get all my Patreons on panel. Happy birthday, Amber. You can celebrate it with tomorrow. Ugh. People are going to believe he was from here. I can. I don't know. Growing up in New York, Poconos were always like weird. So, alright. I am going back to candles. But Shopka, yeah, I would love for you to come on later or tomorrow. Alright. When you watch Cuomo, he's talking bad about the police in a subtle way. Of course he's woke. Absolutely, Amber. Tomorrow night's going to be fun. I feel horrible for his mom and dad. I can't even imagine. I don't even know what I would do. I really don't. Some of us patrons are troublemakers. You don't want... I do want you on panel. Is that the Beach Boy Poconos? Well, yeah, Poconos is a lot of beach. Patty! Patty, it's not my birthday yet. I'm catching up to you, Patty. Alright, I gotta get back to candles. I will see you all tonight. I can tell you right now, odds are I am not making it to the early Banfield. We'll have to be late because I have way too much to do. So, I'll see you guys late night. Have a wonderful day. Peace. That's right, Patreon party panel. I'll see you guys late tonight.